been southbound, I've been hellbound, riding on the midnight train. Going too fast now, think I ought to slow down, standing in the pouring rain.
What's going on, folks? This is Tristan and Tony with the One Hell of a Life Outdoor Podcast.
You're damn right it is.
So today we got on Garrison Sanborn. He is a 14-year NFL vet. He is somebody that we've shared the duck blind with, the deer stands with, and Tony actually met him in a very interesting way as being a renter back in when we lived in Jacksonville, Florida, of a property that Garrison owns. But we'll get into all that good stuff. And what's going on, Garrison? Thank you for taking the time to come on tonight.
Hey, my pleasure, guys. Always good talking to y'all.
Yeah, no, dude. You guys, I'll just tell you what we're going to break. Let me break it down for you, what we're going to get into tonight, all right? So if you're just tuning into the podcast, so number one, all right, we're going to learn a little bit about this man's career, which has been outstanding. Number two, learn a little bit about him just as a personal guy and his backstory. And you know, he's got a great passion for the outdoors and shares it with his family and everything else. And, you know, that's how we really got connected here. And we're super excited about diving into all that tonight. And I think you guys are going to be sitting back after this going, wow. I'm excited about it. So Garrison, why don't you just kind of start off with like a brief intro? You know, who is Garrison? You know, what do you do? You know, obviously, you know, you snap the football. You know, I mean that is something that you've made a professional career out of. And but you know, just kind of give an overview about who you are, what you do, and what you love to do.
Sure. Yeah. So I guess as you said, I'm a 14-year NFL veteran. Played as a long snapper. Got so lucky with how that worked out, but I was center back in the day, back in high school. 7th grade actually is when I started playing center. We started punting, said sure, I'll snap, whatever. Did that, got to the 9th grade. Coach said, we've got a guy who played at Notre Dame, Boston College, you should keep doing this. I'm like, all right, that sounds good. So I kept doing it, and then eventually was able to play at Florida State. Went on from there, played in Buffalo, Tampa, San Francisco. Got to do that from Tampa. Met my wife Tara in Tallahassee. She's from Jacksonville, so then we came over here. Always had a passion for just being outside in general. Always mainly grew up boating and doing some fishing. We were terrible fishermen, but my dad was a sailor, so we get out and just, you know, be out in the water all day, camp for the weekend, that kind of thing. And then I always had a passion for real estate as well. So since bought my first investment property when I was in college and kept doing that, knowing football would end at some point, was able to, you know, keep this career going as long as I have, luckily, and accumulated some properties over the years and turned that into, added my agent license. So the last couple of years we formed a real estate team. So I've got a couple investing companies, a real estate team, still training if I do get picked up, and lucky to have 3 wonderful kids that I spend as much time with as I can.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. So let me kind of just give you guys a little bit of quick story about how I met Garrison, and this will kind of give you really quick the kind of character this guy carries. You know, so you know, when we came up for our day jobs and we were going to move up here to Atlanta to open up this new office. We had to shut everything down for a year due to COVID. So in the midst of that, I had sold my house and thought, all right, we're getting ready to leave. And 2 months before, we're like, nah, pull the cord. And so I can't tell you how difficult it is in the St. John's, Ponte Vedra, South Jacksonville area to try to find somebody that's going to rent you a house when you have a 135-pound Rottweiler. All right. And so many homes now are part of different, you know, companies that manage them and stuff. And they just have to have I know why they have to have the rules that they have, but you know, we were struggling and I'm like, dude, we're closing on our house. I don't know where we're going to live. Mm-hmm. I just didn't know. And it was getting in a panic situation. And a real good realtor friend of ours that Garrison and his wife share, you know, she put us in contact together, and you know, Garrison was just pretty straight up with me right off the bat, you know, and he said, hey, you know, they said you're good people, and I said, I promise, man, we'll take great care of this house, you know, and you won't have to worry about it. If my dog messes something up, I'll fix it, you know, or whatever, you know, and but I won't forget, you know, he came over that first day that I met him, and we were walking through the house, and I said, so what do you do for a living? And and this is going to be funny for a minute, but have you seen that part where Will Ferrell goes, I'm kind of important. No, he didn't do that, you guys. He didn't do it at all. He just said, oh, I played some football, and, he was real humble about it. And then I was like, what? Hit the brakes, and then it took off from there. I mean, really, in that same conversation, we had already, I think, kind of knew what each other was about just from that 15, 20-minute conversation. And from there, it's just been a great friendship and a lot of good times in the outdoors.
Absolutely.
Yeah, man. So
let's get into some of the hunting trips over the years. That's a good segue into that. Recently, I wasn't there for the one this year, but the duck hunting trip, and then a couple times out deer hunting and stuff. You want to go into that a little bit, Dad?
Yeah. So we get together and do a little bit of duck hunting, here and there, and then also some deer hunting, and we. Anytime Garrison's got such a busy schedule, especially, when a team calls you and says, get here tonight, and it's right during, hunting season, he's got very limited, but limited time, and especially with your busy work schedule and stuff. And, we went out this year, me and him and Drew, and, we just kind of made the best out of, we really didn't know what the hell we were doing, to be honest with you. We were going out and learning this new coastal area. And, anytime you're in a coastal area, it's also, you got to watch the tides and, you got to be careful. It's a little sketchy and dangerous, but we were out there and we were like, dude, if we could just come out here and just shoot one unique thing, And I was telling Garrison, I was like, dude, we got to try to get one of these hooded mergansers. Yeah. And immediately we started seeing some fly off, and we're like, oh man, dude, we got a chance, and we just kind of putted around. It was kind of following, came up with this little setup, whatever, and we'd flew some off, and we pulled into this marshy ground that just happened to be at high tide, and I was like, we're sitting there deciding how we're going to set up this blind, and I look over where they flew off to, and I go, you guys get your guns. They're coming. They're like, what? I go, they're just coming. They're just coming right down the edge of this marsh line. I go up there like you're in war. Get down. Get down. Shut up. But get down there. I go up there and stalk up there and smoke these mergansers. There's no better way than to water swat a merganser, dude. And him and Drew I got video of it. They crouched down and squatted down there, and boy, and that's what they did. And Garrison shot a beautiful, it's about as pretty as they get, hooded merganser. And I know you took that to get it mounted, didn't you?
I've still got it in the freezer. I got to get it mounted.
Right on. Well, we got a guy
so on the
for you.
to-do list. Yeah, I know. You mentioned that. Yeah, that was fun because I didn't expect we were going to be stalking duck that morning.
But then, we went on to end up taking and I would call it a group effort. We ended up taking a black Scotter, and that was just I'd never seen one before, and it was a Drake, and it was kind of dumb. I mean, I'm not going to go through the whole story, but it was kind of dumb. All right. It was kind of dumb.
It worked.
Yeah, it worked. I mean, we took home meat and a unique looking animal, and it was cool. And then I ended up, I don't know if it was the next day or that was the same day, I ended up shooting a hen Scotter as well. But no, it was just, it's all about the experience, right?
It was something new.
Dude, we felt like men, I mean, we're on this boat, waves crashing a little bit of nasty weather. Out there stalking mergansers in the Florida Georgia marsh. I mean, it was pretty fun. We made a good time out of it.
Yeah, we did. That was awesome. That was a blast.
One of the things that comes to mind, like I think it was probably the first time that we'd hunted with Garrison, it was deer hunting or whatever. And this is a little bit out of line with our outline and stuff, but I just think it's funny and applies here. We we're sitting there around like the camp or whatever after. I think we hunted that morning or evening or something like that. We were deer hunting, and Garrison pulls out this Yeti, and it's got this face on it, and I'm like, whose face is that on that Yeti? I'm like, that looks so familiar, and I'm gonna let you just take it from there, Garrison, because I just find that so funny.
Yeah, it's kind of it's right. So it was Ryan Fitzpatrick's face, quarterback, longtime quarterback, and tell you the story right on how his face got on a Yeti?
Yeah, go for it.
So way back, I want to say this is probably like 2012 or so. You got to do things to get through training camp, right? And that was before Yeti had a name, like a big name. And what I was going to do to get through training camp was wear the same hat everywhere I went, all day, every day, and never take it off. Just some kind of motivation to make it through camp, right? So I'm wearing my Yeti hat, and like everybody's like, what is this hat? What is this Yeti hat? So then, from there, all of a sudden I'm walking across practice and I hear Fitz calling out with the team, Yeti. I'm like, what is he? Does he call me in the middle of the play? Like, what's going on here? Well, it turned out he, because of that hat, he named our freeze call Yeti. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. So for the rest of his career, everywhere he went, freeze was Yeti. And he also loved the idea of Yeti so much, he started giving Christmas presents out to the team, like, O-line and all his guys, Yeti coolers. And he ended, because he switched teams every year, he was like, well, I never had to get a new gift. I can just keep going Yetis because it's all new people every year. And Yeti liked him so much, they put his face on the cooler for him to start passing out.
That is so amazing.
Yeah, it was great.
Well, I guess, that's kind of a good segue into kind of my next question, like, what kind of came first for you? I mean, obviously you love the outdoors, you love football. What was that always kind of a thing that came together kind of in the same time in your life, or what kind of when did those come together, I guess,
Yeah, great question. So I'd say football first. I started sports when I was 4, always loved sports, loved going outside. Like I said, I grew up in a family where we did a lot of outdoor stuff, but more like my dad was an Eagle Scout. Not big into hunting or fishing or anything like that, but my mom's side up in Louisiana, they're big hunters, big fishermen. And so I always had it in me, but for being, I never really got into that piece of it yet. Always had a desire to, and really it all came together when I went to Buffalo. Buffalo was like perfect. I didn't realize this was going to happen, but it's awesome for fishing the lake, the creeks. I mean, we'd wade through the rivers fishing. And then the hunting was incredible. I mean, so I was able to meet some good people in Buffalo that took me under their wing, taught me, all about hunting. And that's when I really got big into deer hunting. I mean, I'd fly home from Miami and we'd land at like 3, from playing the Dolphins, we'd land at 3 a.m. and I'd go straight to the deer stand and go to I'd be in the deer stand at 4, go to sleep for an hour until sunrise, and then hunt until I had to go to practice. And I'd show up with, I showed up to practice with a deer on the back of the truck. I've traded the truck with, I had an SUV, one of those grates for the trailer hitch. I had a deer on that. I brought it into the car dealership and they said, pull on in. So the GM had me pull the car into the dealership on the tile and blood's dripping on the tile. and so that's where it really took off and I got into it big time up there. It was awesome.
Oh my gosh, that is so funny. Did you ever get any pictures like when you shot a deer or whatever, like with a Bills hat on or anything like that, or in front of any of the facility or anything like that?
I don't know. I probably do somewhere. I don't know if I'll tell you one thing about the facility though. So right across the street from our facility was a giant open field. And we were talking with our head of security and a couple other people, and it was our kicker, Dan Carpenter. Me and him would just it was a bunch of us, but we were on the same schedule. So me and Dan would hunt all the time. And we were talking to our head of security, and he's like, yeah, there's nobody that ever goes back there. You guys can go back there. So we'd leave meeting, we'd show up for meetings, and we'd have a 2-hour break before practice. And we had 2 rookie punters, a punter and a kickoff guy. And we're like, all right, y'all go to that side of the field and start walking. so we'd have the rookies push for us while we're stalked out, and then, haul button change in the parking lot back out of our underneath our camo was our jersey, our practice uniform.
Oh my gosh, that is amazing.
Coach is walking by and you're rubbing off freaking camo off your face. You're like, Garrison.
I mean, yeah, we had a blast, and we'd get out. As a long snapper, I didn't have to meet. I mean, I always joke, if you can count to 4, you can be a long snapper, because I just had to block the 4th guy from the line of scrimmage. And So I'd be out of meetings early and we'd go hunting. I'd send pictures. I was good friends with a lot of the linemen, and I'd send them some pictures of deers down, and they're like, awesome, but we're in meetings. Can you please not rub it?
Yeah.
So like it's 3 p.m. and we already got some deer down. So
They're sitting there and having their team meetings and stuff.
How?
yeah, like we're drinking on coffee cup number 5, trying to stay awake during this meeting.
How did you? Because you're originally from Florida, right?
Yeah, Tampa.
Okay, so how did you, being a Florida boy, get used to that freaking? God, it had to have been cold getting up there and deer hunting.
Oh,
Playing
yeah.
football. What are you talking about?
Football too. Yeah, no kidding. Yeah,
Seriously. So I was like legitimately worried about it. I'd never seen snow fall until I went to Buffalo. And so I laugh at myself now because I was such a nerd. I was like asking people, I'm like, hey, like, how do you do this? Like, how do you drive in this? How do you go to the grocery? How do you get groceries? Like, I didn't have a clue how to do this. And then our punter, he had been there for like 8 years at the time, Brian Mormon, he was like, you're going to be fine. He goes, it happens slowly. It's not overnight. He's like, so you'll figure it out as it happens. And he was right. Cause like, I mean, I remember my this was a great football story, but, and I don't want to go off too much, so you can reel me back in, but it was my rookie year, 2009 in Buffalo. And our final game of the year was against the Colts in Buffalo. With Peyton Manning on the other team, and they were in all white, and it snowed so bad that you could not see the scoreboard up in the. Yeah, I mean it was terrible. I went out before in pregame. I was like, all right, you don't get much gear to stay warm, so I put on one pair of tights, and I'm like, I'm gonna try the second pair of tights on. So I put on a second pair of tights and then put on my gear. And I go out there and I couldn't get in the stance. It was so, like everything was so stiff. I was like, I'll be right back. I had to go back to the locker room. Like, okay, 2 pair of tights ain't gonna work.
Somebody slice these right in the crotch.
But that game was great because this is a cool story. So I don't know if y'all know Fred Jackson. He's a running back.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, well, Fred was a stud, but the way he came, like, so
Is that Fred Tractor Trailer Jackson?
I don't know what his nickname was.
Well, but anyway,
I'm not familiar. But Fred he was always underpaid. He was always a really good athlete, great player, great guy too, but always underpaid. And he had in his contract $1 million bonus if he got 1,000 yards on the year. Mm-hmm. And so the season's over. We're not going to the playoffs. It was Alex Van Pelt. That was the offensive coordinator. And he said in his pregame speech, he said Fred's got, it was either 240 or 270 yards shy of 1,000. Mm-hmm. He goes, we have one goal today. We're getting Fred $1 million. And literally awesome. That's all he said. So he's like, we're feeding Fred. So literally Fred turned into a machine. He was just throwing people off of him.
Wow.
And and the whole O-line, the whole team embraced it. It was just like, we're getting Fred paid today. So I think he got like 10 extra yards over it, got his $1 million.
What?
Wow.
Yep. And I'll never forget his face as he's driving his truck out of the stadium that day, rolls the window down. He had the biggest smile I've ever seen.
That is so awesome, and it's cool to hear like just the behind the scenes of that stuff, because like so many times, like I don't know, you see on press conferences and stuff like that, when questions about anything like that come up, there's a lot of like, especially from coaches, like, they call it like coach speak, like deferral of, stuff like that. But it's funny how that stuff is like conscious. I've heard some similar stories like that with receptions and stuff like that through podcasts, and it's cool.
Yeah, it really is. And also, just like in the movies, there was the phone call down from the management to bench him.
That's so funny.
They said, we're not doing it. And and the whole coaching staff was fired anyway after the season. We were on an interim head coach. They're like, we're gone anyway. So we don't care. We're getting Fred paid. he deserves it.
That is beautiful. That is so beautiful. Man, oh man.
Yeah. So then the hunting too, my goodness, like, yeah, that was brutal, but I mean, for 4 hours sitting in a tree stand, just wiggle your toes and your fingers the entire time so you don't lose feeling in them.
Yeah, I would imagine that's almost easy. Got to be easier than playing a football game, isn't it?
Yeah, it really was. Yeah, because it's challenging out there trying to be athletic when you're negative degrees. I mean, that game with all that snow was -3.
Wow.
Goodness
It was awful.
gracious. Well, I can't even imagine. Here you're hiking a rock.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
like it.
And the punter's like almost knocking him out probably because but the ball's so hard and everything. It's a completely different dynamic. I mean, just like everybody's got to adjust to it, whatever position you're playing. So I can't even imagine that, you're like, all right, don't mess this one up, Sanborn.
Well, no joke in that game. Like I remember, I won't forget that either. It was it was two warm and before the game, 2 warm-up snaps in a row. Because by the third one, I'd have to I was realizing on the third snap in a row of warm-up, I couldn't tell where my hands ended, the ball began.
Wow.
So I got to the point where I'm like, snap 2, and then I'm just gonna stand here with my hands in my muff, warming them up until I can feel them again, and then 2 more. Warm them up. So like running on the field, I looked ridiculous. I could literally run with my hands in my mouth until I have to take them out. I got to do what you got to do. Like I can't feel it.
Right, man. Yeah. So and I know the answer to this, but what is your now that maybe it's changed. Now that you've been out and gotten your feet wet a little bit with some waterfowl hunting. How does that work in contrast to your experience of deer hunting? How do you see those things together?
Yeah, I mean they are so different, and everybody I never really got into waterfowl until I went once up in Buffalo, and then with you guys. But prior to that, I keep hearing waterfowl's the favorite, and I think that's probably universally true because of the camaraderie you get out of it. Mm-hmm. Whereas the tree stand, you're just, it's solitary. So I don't know. I mean, I love them both. I think probably because I got so passionate about deer hunting up in Buffalo, that's where I still prefer to be.
Yep.
But at the same time, it is really cool. Like how waterfowl is. You're just sitting there hanging out, shooting shit, like could be on a couch or anywhere, and then out of nowhere it's like, here it comes, it's locked and loaded, and then it's like complete chaos how about when I was on the kayak retrieving the one duck, and you're like, get down, I'm just laying there, shots are firing everywhere. It's like,
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Get down.
Like ducks are falling by my head.
Yeah, that was awesome. But no, you do break a great point, and they really are just 2 different experiences, and what when you're up there hunting in Buffalo, you're talking about dealing with feet of snow.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So what's it like? Like, tell people what it's like to bow hunt deer in the woods of New York, up there in North New York.
Gotcha. So I'd say it's a flip flop in terms of pre-shot. It's so much easier I say easy, but it's so much easier in the South pre-shot. But then post-shot, it's hard because it's hard to find the blood trail. You got the different colored leaves, all the other stuff that goes into that. Mm-hmm. But up there, it's extremely hard pre-shot because you've got to deal with, when you've got snow caked on the ground like it is, you can hear everything. And then I remember one hunt where one of the trails was coming from my left across towards my right, and you can see the deer so dang easy, but guess what? They can see everything you do. And then I go to move my arm, and this was a muzzle loader, and I go to move my arm, and I hear my jacket because it's frozen. I'm like, oh my gosh. So I've got to pick out where this deer is going to walk. Guess where he's going to walk in 40 yards from where he's currently at. And over the course of the next 15 seconds, try to move my arm like a foot to get ready and hope he walks right there. and so, all that's challenging. But then once you get the shot off, it's hunting the snow's the best because I'm a great tracker in the snow.
Yeah, no kidding. They definitely stand out a little bit more once they're laying there,
And then what I laughed at my buddy. I got a buddy, Eric Peters, his name. I think he actually owns a ranch out in Colorado. He's an awesome hunter, and I remember laughing at him. He's 6'7", first time I met him was he had just gotten signed to the team. This is a side story, but he just got signed to the team like day before. Didn't really know anybody before Halloween. And so on Halloween, he's 6'7", redhead, red beard. He shows up to our Halloween party as a Viking with a Viking helmet. And yeah, it was epic. And like you look like he just got off of a boat. And doesn't know anybody, so he's real like shy at the beginning. By the end of the night, he's filling his helmet up with beer and slamming it. Yeah.
That's
so
awesome.
he's a great dude, but like he was telling me, he's like, I only shoot 50 pounds. I was like, what do you mean? Like you can handle 80. Like, why would you? He's like, when it gets cold, I don't know about that. So I had a 70-pound draw, and I was no problem until I sat in that freezing cold for 3 hours. And then you try to draw it back, and I feel like my shoulder's about to shatter. And then I finally get it back, but my left arm's trembling so much, sounds like a dinner bell getting rung. And those pop their heads and run. I'm like, well, I'm going to 50.
Lesson learned.
Yes, thank you, Eric. You're right.
That's hilarious, man. But you do bring up a great point. And so many times, you're out there, if you're like a psycho like I am, right? If you're out there in the tree stand, especially when you're in an area where you can harvest a great deer, right? You take everything up a notch as far as your seriousness, your preparation, all that stuff, to eliminate as much possible mistakes as possible. All the planning, checking your sights, checking your bow, make sure your pins didn't get moved. I mean, there is the list is incredibly long. Your tree stand's safe. Your cables aren't, you don't have any bolts loose. I mean, there's so many things that go into a single hunt and being super successful at it that I think we overlook, but the thing is that when you put all this preparation into doing something like that, it's a different experience than just say, I'm going out to get some meat today. You've got to put yourself in the best position possible to make this happen. And then you're up there in Buffalo and you're talking about, dude, I don't know if you guys know, but they get like lake snow. That's like, when he says snow, he's not saying like 4-inch trickle. All right. We're talking like feet, bro, like up to the deer's belly, and they can't sink any further because their belly's keeping them from sinking. I mean, that kind of snow, but it's just, there's so many things that go into making. Do you want coffee that doesn't suck? Get the Duck. Dirty Duck coffee is made specifically for the waterfowl enthusiast. Enjoy flavors like Morning Wood, Dark Dynasty, Cinnamon Teal Snickerdoodle, and First Flight to unlock the flavor that you'll enjoy in the blind for years to come. Our friends at Dirty Duck Coffee Company are now offering all Zero Duck 30 followers a 15% discount when you use code ZeroDuck15 on your next order. That opportunity happened.
Absolutely. You're not kidding on that.
So with all this said, you go out there, you guys, we've already heard some of these funny ones, especially the one about the, you're making the younger guys cut their teeth by pushing deer for you. But that's awesome. They're like,
y'all aren't going to shoot me, are you?
They're like, bro, dude, we got broke in today in the NFL. Guess what we got to do?
Most rookies get their hair cut bad or whatever. Right. Garrison and the punter are making them drive deer.
Yeah.
But what is your favorite hunting story? What stands out the most to you when you think about, hey man, I love the outdoors and this is why I keep doing it. What is that favorite hunting story? And I know, your little boy, your youngest one, is just latched on hardcore about being like his daddy, and but just kind of roll with it.
Yeah, I was thinking about this, and I think I'm gonna steal one off Tom Brady's book. Favorite hunting story is the next one.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go with that one, the next one, because it's just, they're all so good. But like you're saying with my son Jameson, he loves it. I want to say, I can't tell you how many times his bedtime story is me, Daddy, tell me a hunting story. And so that's his bedtime story. So I was walking through the woods, got this black bear right, and he's just like glued in and all about it. And we live on a preserve where we're at right here, and it's like, where's Jameson? Oh, He's gone somewhere in the woods. Like, oh, I'm down at the creek. I was like, we have a creek? I was like, where's that at? You know, and he's 6 now. So I mean, this is like when he was like 4 and 5.
Yeah.
Like, just loves being out there. I found out the other day, my other son said, yeah, Jameson killed the snake the other day. I'm like, where did you see a snake? I mean, like, what's going on here? I was like, how big was his head? Bigger than his body? Was he poisoned? He's like, I think he was. I was like, get away from him. You know? But he's crazy, but just absolutely loves the outdoors, and all he wants to do is go hunting, go fishing, and you know, I get home with a big fish. I love going offshore, and first thing he does is he grabs that fish out of the cooler and runs down the street through the neighborhood, showing off that fish to every kid he can show. They don't even want to touch it with their finger, and he's carrying it.
Did he do something?
Can you bring that back?
What was it? He did something cute when you brought home those ducks. I remember you calling me and telling me when you brought home those. I don't remember if it was just like super excitement or whatever it was. It was. I mean, maybe I'm not remembering right, but he wanted to know all about where my dad was and what he did.
He wanted to hear the exact story. He watched the video a bunch. He immediately grabbed those ducks, had to leave them on ice, like in the cooler in the garage for like a week. Every day he'd pull them out, open their wings, look at them, show them to anybody he could show them to. His sister's like, "You're gross. What are you touching those for?" You know. So, yeah, it's neat. So like, I just got to keep getting him more involved. He can't wait. I got a rule once you finish 2nd grade, you can go offshore with me, and so he just can't wait for 2nd grade to come and go catch a shark or something. Like, he just wants to be out there. It's fun. And they're all great. Like I said, like, you look at all those stories. I mean, it's just like, which one's your favorite? I don't know. They're all so cool. I mean, I love the story with when we went out to in Atlanta. What was that WMA called?
Oh, it was McGraw Ford. Was that what it was?
Dawson.
It was Dawson Forest.
Yep.
So I'm you know, everywhere I look is most people don't have success in WMAs because you're not willing to get deep in there, and most people hunt right off the main roads, and so I'm wondering, I'm like, okay, I imagine we'll probably, you know, and you guys will go somewhat in there, and then
78
like
miles.
Yeah, my gosh, I'm like, okay, lost service. Okay, my feet hurt. We crossed the river.
Dude, that makes me feel so proud that I made
running?
an NFL football player's feet hurt. That's awesome.
Yeah, like, are we supposed to be running at 5 a.m? We got like an hour to how far? You know, like the Hollow Butt crossing a log bridge over like some ravine. I'm like, what the hell? And then we get to the stand. I remember this. I remember Tristan, your face. I remember. I'm like, who put this stand up here? Because I'm like, okay, I can barely, from peg to peg, we can barely reach it. And you're like, Tony, he's a monkey. He can climb anything. I'm like, what the hell?
Exactly.
Yeah, so it's like, and then what do? You shoot a doe, and we got to carry that thing out. But
Yep.
and we're all like, well, let's rotate. Nope. You act like it was no big deal. I was like, damn, he's carrying that thing a long way. And until we got to the truck and you both hit the ground at the same time.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm like,
man.
so it was hard. Good for him.
Dude, I completely forgot we shot that doe. That
Dude.
was like completely out of my
I made a
brain.
freaking
You shot that-
incredible
you shot
shot
that
on
doe.
that deer, dude. I really did. I mean, it was one of my best shots. And honestly, until he just brought that up, I forgot about that deer too.
Yeah, I didn't.
I mean,
I thought we got skunked that week.
dude, I'm just thinking about. I mean, I'm all of a sudden I have all these flashbacks like instantly of all these like images, you know, and man, that deer was out there. I think it was a 32-yard shot.
It was. I remember you saying that.
Yeah, and I put the freaking hammer on that sumbitch.
Yep.
But man, what beautiful forest, and you know, we were all up there, and you know, it's a different feeling when you're walking through the woods, knowing that you got giant boar black bear on the ridge that your tree stand is on. You know, I mean, and we were showing Garrison and all that stuff. Hey, I'm going to jump off into something else hilarious about that weekend real quick. Garrison, I know you're going to start laughing about this hard. Bro, you remember when we were starving to death?
Oh, I thought that's where you're going. Yes, I just told that story like 2 weeks ago.
Oh, dude. Me.
We close at 12.
Oh my God. Dude, we are starving to death. I mean, literally, like
I haven't eaten since in like 15 hours. And then, like we just said, I hiked 78 miles into the woods.
He's out there with these crazy Vogels hunting public land. This is how we do it. Man up. And dude, we're like, where do you guys want to eat at? Well, I don't know. And to make a long story short, dude, it was like, I think the retail industry was still trying to limit their hours of availability due to COVID and stuff, some of the other stuff. But I swear to you on my life that every place that we tried to go to get a morsel of food was closed. And dude, we pulled into what I don't care. We're going to throw trash. Was it McDonald's that told us that?
Yeah, McDonald's.
McDonald's. I don't remember what exactly happened. I just remember that they were open and they were letting cars through, and then the lady basically shut the door in our face.
We were like, you were like, hello, because you were driving. You're like, hello, anybody there? And she said, we're closed. And you said, what do you mean? Like, what time did you close? She said, we closed at 12. It was 11:52. We're like, what?
Yeah, that's right. That's why he was saying that earlier, dude.
Yeah. I was like, okay, we still got to eat. Like, what the hell?
Dude, and we're starving, bro. I mean, we're just like, please. And no lie, all the way, this is an hour and, what was it, like an hour and 15-minute drive, all the way back, everywhere. And if you know this area of Buford, dude, there is everything you can think of on Buford Highway. And I swear to you that we tried all the way to my doorstep to get some food, and we never did we?
I don't remember. Did we get Taco Bell by chance?
I don't think we did, dude. I think we went to bed starving. I really do. I think we went to bed that night starving. And then what was also funny about that night is that Drew took your bedroom. Drew's like me and Tristan, one of Tristan's best friends. I mean, we really are, and, first time's Garrison staying at my house. I'm just trying to be courteous and giving him the bedroom with the bathroom connected to it, and we come back and just slaughtered, from the day. And Drew said, good night. And he just walked right in, shut the door. And I was like, that little shithead.
It was all good. I think we slept for like 4 hours max.
Yeah, we got right back up and we're heading right back out there again. It was something else. But at least we got to harvest something, as a group. And I think any hunting party on public land, if you got 4 people out there hunting and you're able to bring home a deer for the weekend, I think that's a successful trip.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I thought you brought up a good point earlier. Well, what you said, quoting Tom Brady's book or whatever, the next hunt, that's kind of like my love of hunting is the unpredictability of it. Like, there's so many different things. It's almost like every time, there's a reason people have great hunting stories. It's because you never know how shit's going to go down. I mean,
don't, dude.
It's just, there's always something different, and I love that aspect of it,
For sure.
It is. I mean, none of us want to have your car battery not work or your motor not start, or like Tristan and I have the motor mount bolts come out of your motor on the Altamaha River with 12-foot gators next to you. I mean, it's fine. In the dark, but it's really kind of what builds the character of why we love it so much. Sometimes I kind of look at, you can feel like sometimes duck hunting or any kind of hunting really, sometimes when you go through these spells, I call it, and everybody says, oh, bad things coming through. I'm calling bullshit on that. But, one thing that's for sure is sometimes you just are tried more, and it's what you overcome through those challenges is what makes you such a great outdoorsman in so many ways. It's just, you've dealt with those things, and those things, what's that saying? I can't remember, but basically not letting the same thing happen to you twice. You know what I mean? And guess what? With my new boat, dude, every time I take that thing out of the garage, I check the motor mount bolts. I think about Dr. Duck and their motor falling off on the highway. I mean, it can always be something as simple as that. But it is what makes hunting or just the outdoors in general so much fun, with all those things.
Yep, definitely. Garrison, one of the things that, we wanted to get into kind of back to the football stuff is, just kind of go more into, with college football and getting, the opportunity to, be an undrafted cat into the NFL and stuff, and just the dream of all that, and making it.
Yeah, go back to high school like you were talking about. Hey, your coach told you to do this, and you just tell us your story, because whatever we are out there to do as people and professionals, I think one thing that I learned about football, and I didn't play near the level that Garrison has, but it's about perfecting technique and of course your health and everything else. But take us back to where hey, what's the first time you started loving football, and how did you get into that, and then was there a dream of becoming an NFL football player, or was you just, how did that all happen?
For sure. So that's got to date back to like kindergarten, because literally
72. That's what I was.
91 or so. Go George Bush. But I'd say I used to, just everything I did was all sports. I just loved it. Like, even to this day, I don't really watch very much sports, but you want to go play something, I'll go be the first one out there. Like playing hockey with the neighborhood kids, whatever, like just love it.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I was way back then, it was always just like, I remember laying in my bed watching football, and I want to say 96 Madden. That was when they, like, that old Sega Genesis had the fold out cover the first time they had stats on all the players. So I was reading up on all the stats and picking out my dream team and all that stuff. And so I would watch football all day. And in doing so, I had TV in my room, lay in my bed, throw the ball in the air. I swear to this day, by throwing the ball in the air, because I had to do it two-handed to make a good spiral. When you're laying down, you're not using any shoulders. I swear that like made me comfortable throwing the ball two-handed, to where when I finally got to my freshman year in high school, my coach was like, I was going into health class. I tried out for the JV team. He was our health teacher. My buddy Mike was like, "Hey man, you did great at the tryout yesterday. Those snaps looked awesome." And the head varsity football coach, our teacher, stopped dead in his tracks, trying to go, "You're a long snapper?" And I said, "Yeah." So he turned the entire class around, and we went and grabbed a football, and he watched me snap and taught me how to do it two-handed. The whole class was him teaching me how to do it two-handed. Before that, I was throwing it one-handed, and I picked it up super easy. Again, I think because I had just thrown the ball two-handed so much. Mm-hmm. And he told me that day, like I said, we had a guy played at Boston College and Notre Dame, and you're better than both of them at this age. You can play on Sundays if you get serious about this. Wow. And so from then, I kind of knew, like, okay, this is probably going to be my ticket. And going my senior year of high school, I was starting center. I could have played linebacker. I actually got cut from JV my freshman year. I tried out for the JV team. And it's when I was telling you about that ninth grade year.
Our partners at Huntwise are offering an exclusive discount for Zero Duck 30 followers. As an elite member, some of the features you'll immediately gain access to are Huntcast, Windcast, peak kill times, property lines, owner information and phone lookup, 250 map layers, unlimited offline maps, 3D maps, social media, and on top of it all, save up to 50% off some of the top hunting brands in the industry. Download and explore the #1 hunting tool set today and save 20% by using code DUCK30.
Trying out for the sophomore team, and the JV going into my sophomore year, but I got cut as a freshman, and my head coach, you'll probably know the name Jay Feely, the kicker.
Yeah.
His dad, Tom Feely, was my coach. They cut me going into my freshman year.
Oh, wow.
And and so then I tried out and he told me, he's like, you could start at linebacker, center, tight end, fullback. Like, why didn't you try out last year? I was like, I did try out. You cut me. and he's like, yeah, we just have so many players try out, like we lose people in the cracks. And that's kind of where I always fit, because I wasn't, and by my senior year, I wasn't I was too slow to play linebacker at a D1 school. I was too small to play center at a D1 school, but I was damn good at snapping. I actually had a full ride to UCF out of high school, but I ended up walking on to Florida State because for whatever reason, I think I was a high school wrestler, and you get really mentally strong doing that. and and you just, I do what I want, like, is kind of my mentality. And I'm able to do more than my physical ability it should allow, because I just kind of like, if I say I'm going to do something, I usually accomplish it. And it's just that mental willpower to do that, I guess. And so I went to Florida State and ended up playing there. And then I always had the goal of playing pro. I mean, one day go back to like third grade, it was like the guidance counselor, Miss Ray, I won't forget her name. Sorry for throwing you under the bus, but like, you can't be a football player. The 1% make football. I'm like, hell with you, I'm playing football. Like, that's what I want to do. Like, I'm going to do it.
The old takeaway. She might be sitting here listening to the One Hell of a Life Outdoor podcast going, I'm happy I pushed his button.
Yeah, she did. It worked. I won't forget it. But so, yeah, just like going through college, then you never know if you're good enough. Like, but at the end of the day, I know what I want, and I keep trying. And to be honest, like, there's always this saying, like, and there's a good story. I won't get into it, but basically, the difference between a winner and a loser is both the winner and the loser want to quit. No doubt about it. They both want to quit, but the winner doesn't. And so, literally, that's how I kind of grew up. Like, I mean, I remember I'm running sprints with these stud linebackers at FSU, and I'm like, hey, I want to quit. Like, there's no way I can keep up with this guy, but I don't. And then I end up like being able to run with that guy, which I shouldn't be able to do. And by my senior year, we had a suspension issue, and so I was their backup defensive end for a Emerald Bowl against Kentucky, which was crazy. Getting sacks in practice, like against our starting left tackle, which, why am I doing that? Like, I don't even practice defensive end. Where'd you learn the spin move? I don't know. I just saw him do it. Let me try it. Like, you get confidence, it works. Like,
but in all due respect, you're a good athlete, dude. I mean, let's face it. You like you're saying, what you're putting yourself through was to be the best that you can be.
Right. And so, I mean, even like you go. Fresh rookie year in Buffalo. I don't know if I'm going to make it or not. But we were in a off season thing. They have a speaker come in. He says, "Raise your hand if you were the best player growing up." And Marshawn Lynch and like three other guys raised their hand.
Oh God.
Right. And because like literally they were the best, but for the most of us, we just work and grind until you become the best of people who like are able to get there. So I mean, if you ask me what my skill is, I can outwork you. Like that's what I can do. Don't have any exceptional skills anywhere else, but I can outwork you until I get it accomplished. Like, that's kind of where I can hang my hat on and just keep grinding. I mean, it wasn't until my 10th year in the league. I prepared every year as though I would never play another down. Never thought I'd make another, like, just try your hardest, but like, I had the ultimate goal of 16 years. I said, let's get to one game. Let's get to one season. Let's get to 3 seasons. Let's get to 5. Let's get to 10. Let's go one more at a time. But at the end of the day, like, none of them were gifted to you. And it wasn't until my 10th season I got rated the best snapper in the NFL by Pro Football Focus. And I mean, I was killer that year. I was so good. And then I didn't get picked up. And I was like, I finally am comfortable, and then I didn't get signed until mid-season by San Fran that year. I was like, well, what the hell just happened? Like, that doesn't make sense, but nothing really makes sense. You can't really look at that. You just one step in front of the other and let the rest work itself out.
Right. Just do what's within your control.
Yep, for sure.
Man, that's just so crazy to think about. But going back to when you first were actually at FSU and got with Buffalo, what was that process like? Did you have a few teams that were interested and you just picked Buffalo to go try out, or how did that work?
Yeah, so good question. I was rated coming out of college. Again, like I said, my senior year, I'm like, I think I did good, but I don't know where I rank amongst any of these guys. I'm not paying attention to anybody else. Mm-hmm. And then all those draft rankers come out, and I was ranked top on every poll. I was either top 2 or 3. So I was like, well, that's cool. And then I got invited to 3 out of the 4 All-Star games, played in the Texas First Nation in the Senior Bowl, snapped a game-winning kick snap for that game. I was like, that's really cool. Had the Seahawks were super interested. That was the team that was going to do something. And this is interesting because this kind of comes full circle. It's, you learn things all along the way. And they were going to draft a snapper. And in hindsight, I realized that I was not going to be the guy because of the coach. He didn't understand man blocking assignments, and he wanted a 6'4" snapper that could do the Red Rover, just snap it and put your arms out and hold on. And so his criteria was 6'4". So like literally, I get a phone call on round 6 of the draft, and my agent's like, "Hey, Seattle said they're taking a snapper. It's either you or this other kid." And they took the other kid, and I was like devastated. I was like, "Oh my gosh, I was so close." And then I didn't get picked up because that was my only opportunity at the draft time. I went to Tampa for a mini camp, and I did good. And actually, at the end of the mini camp, they said, "Okay, so you're way better than our current guy, but we just gave him a 5-year deal, so there's no opportunity here." Okay, so I understand how the league works now.
Right.
And then at the end of preseason game 4, the Seattle rookie that just got drafted blew up his back, career-ending injury.
Oh my gosh.
Right, terrible for him.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, do I have a chance here? And they said, no, we're going to go with a veteran because you haven't had any off-season working time, right? And so they brought back their retired guy, Jeff Robinson, and this was the 3rd year in a row Jeff had walked away from the game, and they brought him back to snap, which is what I say full circle. That's how my last couple of years have gone. And I remembered Jeff, and you do still get picked up if you're ready. So I was like, let me just stay ready. And then that's how that's going to happen. But so going back to it, then I went to Tampa. I didn't get picked up. That season I went back to Tampa. I'd never know if I'm going to get picked up or not. So I became a system support analyst at a healthcare company, did that for about 7-8 months, used my vacation days to go on tryouts. Went to Vegas for this specialist combine, killed it, did really good, like focused, like you said, when you focus everything you got into something, you get really good. So I did, I had a really good tryout there. And then Buffalo noticed, they said they were thinking about doing something. So they ended up inviting me to their rookie mini camp, went to the rookie mini camp, did well, got signed, competed after preseason game 2, which my second year out. I got signed in Buffalo. There, and was able to keep that job for the first 8 years of my career.
Wow, man. And I got to think, man, I mean, I don't know how that ranks or averages out, but earlier today, I just typed in Google NFL long snappers, and Garrison Sanborn's name's right up there at the top. And so, but I got to guess that 8 years with a company, I mean, not company, well, it is a company, essentially.
Is, yeah.
I mean, but 8 years with a team is got to be like pretty long to me, it seems.
When I was let go there was only 2 guys on the team from my rookie year.
Wow. And don't they say like the average NFL career is like 3 years or something?
Yes. And I looked it up a while ago, just kind of like ran the numbers, but you get some NFL snappers that are in that, double digit career, and you'll get the 16-year pro here and there, but when you actually average the whole thing, it's 5. So whereas the NFL career is 3, snappers are still 5. You still get, because what's challenging is you don't get any mistakes. Like, a quarterback can throw an interception, but we can't. You get maybe one. Your second one, you're never playing again. So it's like that part that's challenging is the consistency aspect of it.
Garrison, that brings up something that I remember you and I were driving the highway miles, talking and stuff about everything. And one thing that I remember you telling me was that, I said, what's the relationship like between, I remember whenever I played football, everybody liked to throw some shade at the kicker, be like, oh yeah, he just kicks the ball. We're over here getting our asses kicked. And, I go, is that kind of stuff go on? He's like, oh, for sure it does. He goes back and forth because here's the difference with my position though. He goes, and you brought up this point just now. Your position demands perfection. It does, just like a kicker does. It demands perfection. And where the everybody's got a different role. I mean, everybody does. And they have to be all equally great at each role in the team to become a great team. Everybody's got to be treating their position that way. But it was interesting because when you said that, it kind of clicked for me. And what you just said about a quarterback can throw an interception, I can't. You know what I mean? Right. And I won't forget that Garrison, I was like, what are you doing today? He's like, next thing you know, I get this video. And in the video, I see this sled. And I don't know how many wide the sled was, but you guys remember the football sleds?
5-man sled.
Yeah, 5-man sled. They're all there. And this dude is going, dink, 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 like a guy as a sharpshooter with a pistol, dude. I mean, just bap, 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 hitting that target. And I was like, bro, look at that. I mean, I was just like, that's a pretty beautiful thing to see,
I remember that video.
Yeah. But no,
Appreciate
but that's a great point that you bring up about that.
Appreciate that. Yeah, no, it's all about precision. I always, young guys come in and trying to get your best snap or punter's best punt. I'm like, it's great, but it's about your worst.
Yeah.
You need to get your floor as close to your ceiling as possible. That's what's going to keep you in here.
Well, and let me ask you this. I mean, this just came to mind. And does the NFL value the relationship between the long snapper and the kicker? Like, is there a synergy there that they say, hey, we've locked on to something that, when we have this, we value the pairing because of the synergy or whatever it is?
Well, I think it depends on the team. Look at every team is different, and I'd say unfortunately the specialist like snapper, punter, kicker, most coaches, there's some coaches that are really good and understand the specialist aspect, but most of them were safeties or this or that, and they understand their forte is all the other positions on the field, the other 10 guys on special teams, and they don't know a whole lot about that little what makes that so effective. But like if you look at the Ravens, and everybody knows the Ravens are great on special teams, they re-signed Sam Cook, the punter. I mean, you could tell he was getting old, and he didn't have the same hang time he had to change up and find like creative punts he had like 17 different punts depending on where the returner was and the wind was, because he had to start like making things up to hide his lack of power that he was starting to, just from natural aging. But they kept him for an extra 2 years because he was the only person that had ever held for Justin Tucker, and Justin Tucker's the man. You know what I mean? So they had Morgan Cox, Sam Cook, and Justin Tucker for, I want to say 10 years, which is unheard of. But at the same time, those dudes were like, they were so good because of them being together for so long. It was so important. It wasn't until like a year or two ago before I think Justin even said he'd take less. He's like, I'll take less, keep Sam.
Wow.
Use my money and pay Sam.
Holy cow. So man, you have this excellent career in Buffalo, and now you get let go. What's that emotionally like? I mean, so now what?
When I left Buffalo?
Yeah,
that was interesting. So there's a lot of,
because you got a family and everything, right? At this
right.
point. Yeah.
Right. So I've got 2 kids up in Buffalo. We've got our off-season home here in Jacksonville, our home up in Buffalo. We've been there forever. Love it up there. I was actually in the process of renegotiating a new 3-year deal when that happened, when I got let go. Like literally I go from getting a new deal to getting fired. And I'm like, wait, what? Like the GM called me and he's like, I'm very sorry, but I have to let you go. I'm like, wait, what? I thought we were about to sign a new deal. He goes, yes, can't really talk about it. Don't really have a lot of information. It has nothing to do with you. I don't know what's going on here. Got to let you go. And then 2 weeks later, he was fired. And I was like, okay, so someone was pulling some strings to make some moves on the back end. Okay, got it. So it was, very disheartening. But then it's funny how things work. Like there's some things there that like you could be bitter about, but I wasn't, because my goodness, like my life changed because Buffalo took a chance on me.
Yeah.
And they let me come in there and show I could do it. And then I get signed by Tampa a week later. That was cool too, by the way. Like just going down there, and my high school is a parking lot on game days for the Bucs. And so I get down there.
Wow.
Yeah, it was amazing. I used to drive by that stadium every day. That was where I first thought I could play. I watched the preseason game, Bucs versus Browns, and I saw both snappers. I'm like, I was in high school as a senior. I was like, I can do that. I'm just as good as those guys. And I looked at both their weight. It said 640 or 240. I was 6'240. I was like, okay, 240, gotta get there. And that was And then when I went to Senior Bowl, I was 240. But I wrestled 189 my senior year, so I had some work to do. Just put on 50 pounds, no big deal.
Just smash some fried chicken every night.
Yeah, it was delicious. Drink some heavy beers.
Yeah.
But yeah, so then I was able to go to Tampa and worked out great because you never know when, like, things happen for a reason. Lord put you where you're supposed to be.
Mhm.
My mom ended up having a stroke and was going to lose brain. 33% of her brain was dying, and she was in a bad hospital. And like from just my experiences with tearing knees and shoulders and stuff like that, I was like, she's in a bad spot.
Mhm.
So I was able to talk to the Tampa medical staff. I was like, something's wrong. It's not right. Can you put me in touch with the best neurosurgeon in the city? Which never would have happened. So he calls me in the middle of dinner. The best neurosurgeon in the city calls me during dinner.
Wow.
Because I'm a Bucks player, which is kind of ridiculous, but awesome at the same time when you're in that situation. And he was able to get her transferred over to his hospital. They immediately did a test that wasn't available to him. They saw that her brain was starved for blood. They were able to suck out the clot and save her life. And
Wow.
so it's like,
Holy cow.
so it's like, Lord put you where you're supposed to be. I got fired for a reason. I'm so glad I got fired.
Wow.
From Buffalo.
Dude.
For
In
sure.
hindsight. Yeah, like if I wasn't in Tampa, that doesn't end. That story ends different. So it's like,
Wow.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
you just roll the punches, and like you said, you focus on what you can focus on, which is what you're doing in the moment. Not
That gives me chills,
Look,
man.
That's one of the wilder testimonies I've ever heard. That's nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was crazy. It really was.
Well, it's really crazy is when you start working the spider web of everything that's got to happen to everything that's happened. You know what I mean? I mean, it's just crazy, man. Wow. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Yeah.
Holy cow. So you go on to Tampa. What was that like?
It was awesome. Loved it. I mean, we had a great time. For one, I realized how easy football is in the South. It was like
Throw
every
the shade
day,
of South football. I love it because everybody's like, oh, the South football is way better than the North football. I mean, especially on the college level, but I love it.
I mean, like my job, like I went from, okay, got to have this, got to have that, got to have a bag for the rain and the snow and this to protect the balls. And do I have the muff? Do I have the hand warmers? Do I have all this? I'm like, every day, every game I go out in Tampa, like, I'm forgetting something. Like,
Yeah.
Nope. Just sit here and let the humidity keep my hamstrings warm, and then run out and snap a ball, and we're great. Now I'm back to hanging out with the punter on the sideline. This is amazing. It's like, oh, and you got ranked the best. I'm like, well, this is awesome. I can get used to this.
Like, this
yeah.
is nice.
Right. And it was neat. Like, I mean, I'm pre-game. I hear my name. I'm like, wait, and my wrestling coach. He's on the sideline. So, you see all the people that, you grew up with, which was really cool situation. You get to go back to my high school and able to coach some kids. I think he's snapping at Ohio State right now, stuff like that.
That's awesome, man. And so you had a couple different stints with Tampa, right? So did it go Tampa, San Fran, then back to Tampa, or?
Yep, 2 years. Yeah, so 8 years Buffalo, 2 years Tampa, 1 year San Fran, and then after that I got picked up in Tampa. The next 3 years were 2 years in Tampa practice squad, 1 year in Jacksonville, this most recent year. But so yeah, I was able to, during COVID, I got picked up both in 2020 and 2021 in Tampa. So when I left Tampa, they said, like, we know how good you did, but we just don't have any money. We gotta.
Well, and you got a good relationship with the coach there, right?
Yeah, like I knew them all real well,
Yeah.
and like I said, they respected what I could do. They just needed to save money where they could save money, so they went with a rookie snapper, and he's done great. I'm actually good friends with him, Zach Trainer. So when Zach got diagnosed with COVID, and they brought me in, and that was 2020 was crazy. Like you were walking around with the you can't, like, the tracking beacons that start sounding off if you're within 6 feet of another player, like
Wow.
outside of practice. Yeah, it was crazy. And so they picked me up, and then it ended up being a false alarm, like that he was cleared to play on Saturday before the game. And then they kept us the rest of the year because, like, we're not going through that situation again where we might not have our specialists. So that was so cool. I was able to be on the practice squad and hang out for the whole Super Bowl run, win a Super Bowl with them. It was awesome.
Yeah, dude, I won't forget the pictures you sent me, dude. I mean, these shall stay between us, but but man, I got a picture. If you guys could see it, this guy is the happiest he's ever been in his football career. He's got goggles on, a cigar. He's soaked in freaking champagne. It's awesome. It was awesome, man, to see that. And I mean, dude, I feel thankful just to, me and Tristan are just hanging out one night, the night of the Super Bowl, and you're in real time sending me these texts, and I was like, dude, how much more connected could I be to the Super Bowl? I mean, and I'm saying Tristan, and Tristan's been a football psycho all of his life, and it was a great experience for us too. We felt like we got a little bit of a piece of it that was just a little bit different,
Very cool. Yeah, that was a blast.
Yeah.
But man, to be in that position, I would imagine that it's got to be I think one of the unsung, it goes in every professional sport, is the veteran roles, and on the backside, the veteran roles of different players. We all know probably the most talked about, and that's the veteran role quarterback, right? That comes in and he might, they might know that he's only got a year or two left, but it can sometimes change the whole way a clubhouse works because of the role of this person. And I got to imagine that, you just with Zach, you've probably filled, not just with Zach, but other people throughout your career, you've been able to give back a little bit in some veteran role leadership that I'm sure they look back and go, man, if it wasn't for Garrison Sanborn, I learned this tip or that trick, or, I'm sure it's a fun thing to do also in your career outside of just playing the game.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. I mean, at the end of the day, these guys are great, and Zach's going to do great with or without me. But it was pretty cool, going there, and he's in his second year, and I remember being in my second year. Like I told you, I wasn't comfortable till year 10. Was done, and then I could tell day one that I showed up. He was threatened, and so I went up to him like, Zach, by the way, they know what I got, and you're the guy, so they're not coming back to me. Don't worry about me. I'm just here in case things don't work out, in case you have a medical issue. So you just keep doing your thing. Don't try to do too much. Let me know when you want me to take some reps, but this is your show, and I'm just there. So that was, you could tell I'm kind of relaxed there. And I remember when we went into for a couple of days prior to the game, because that was the first time a home team, like the Super Bowl was won by the host team. And so we were in Tampa, and we went on the field for practice, and you could see them getting.
As waterfowlers, we experience all kinds of extreme weather conditions. Stay bone dry and warm with Frog Togs hunting gear. You can check them out at frogtogs.com or at frogtogshunt on Instagram.
A little, it's got all the Super Bowl logos painted on the field and everything else. You can see him getting a little nervous, as he should. I mean, like I said, I remember being a senior pro, and I remember telling him, I was like, you know what's different about snapping in the Super Bowl than any other game you played in? He's like, what? And I said, nothing. I was like, it's same as a high school game. It's still you and the ball throwing it 15 yards to that guy. That's all you got to do. You've done it millions of times, so it's really no different. Everything is different. It happens outside of these white lines. I was like, so you don't even have to worry about none of that. just go do your thing that you can do because you've done it so many times. And so, you tell him things like that. And then afterward, you don't know how it's taken or anything. And after the Super Bowl, he finally, as most people should, take a minute to relax and decompress. And we're sitting there having a beer, and he's like, I don't know that I get through that without you, so thanks for being here. I was like, oh, cool. That did mean something.
Yeah, but it's some of those littlest things, that, you don't know. I mean, that could have settled him into creating a mistake that could have cost the Tampa Bay the Super Bowl. I mean, really, one wrong snap, and there's a major problem, so. For sure.
We're an insurance policy.
Yep,
right.
Yep.
Well, one thing I gotta get into.
Here we go.
Because
here we go.
Being that I'm a huge Jacksonville Jaguars fan.
Here we go. Hey, I gotta say, y'all better look out.
And this is what I'll say. So I grew up a Rams fan, and we moved to Jacksonville, and the Rams moved to L.A., and everyone in St. Louis felt betrayed.
Yeah.
And at the time, as most of Jacksonville. Most of the time they've been a team, we were terrible, and I became a fan in like 2014. So I've been on the bandwagon for a long time now. So it's not like I'm just hopping on the wagon here to.
Oh no, you've taken a lot of trash talk, dude. I know you have, because I've been a Chiefs fan all my life, right? And I couldn't help but embrace some of the things that the Jags have done. And
I'll tell you this real quick. Sorry to go on another tangent here, but before, and this actually ties into duck hunting. So last year, I think it was the divisional round, or no, it was the wild card round of the playoffs when Trevor Lawrence threw 4 picks in the first half or whatever. And we're duck hunting, and we went to this Mexican place, and I'm just watching the first half, just like
when we were in Arkansas,
Mario's just talking shit to me.
Oh
like,
yeah, dude! If you can imagine, we got a table of like 12 people, and we're only there so Tristan can watch the Jags game, right?
Yeah.
And dude, Mario could piss you off.
And we leave that place, and I'm just like, my God. And I think they scored right before half or something, so I felt a little hopeful. And we get back, and we're playing poker or something at the lodge.
But you weren't giving up.
Oh no, I was watching it on my phone because I was like, dude, we're in the playoffs. I'm watching the whole damn game. And
you're like, these guys are great.
Yeah.
He's Mario's over there going, look at the Jaguars. And Tristan doesn't like that kind of crap, dude. And I can see it in Tristan's face. He's like, dude, if he ever wanted to punch somebody, it's right now. But Mario just loves to do that to you,
Yeah, but long story short, they come back and win that game, and that was like probably outside of like the 2017 run, my greatest fandom moment of being a Jaguars fan. But I wanted to go into a little bit of that with you, Garrison. Just being in the organization and stuff last year. What do you kind of think about, kind of maybe how Doug Peterson runs a team, and just kind of how you think they got a lot of expectation this year, obviously,
For sure. Yeah, I'll say, teams change. So when I say what I'm about to say, it changes a lot based off the personnel. And there's, from year to year, a team changes so much, both personnel and players and everything else. But I'd say that year in Jacksonville, top to bottom, when you account from GM all the way down to everybody, that was the most impressive group I'd been around. Wow. Of all the teams I've been with, between like Trent and GM. He had been let go in San Francisco before, so he's been at the top and then at the bottom and all that. Once you're able to do that, like, you're just a guy. You're no longer like defined by your position, like, oh, I'm the GM and I'm this. So like he was so chill. And I remember before that game you're talking about, we're sitting at the in between meetings bullshitting about trucks, and he's giving guys a hard time because the Rams better than this and that's better than that. We're all just bullshitting trucks, like, which is great because you can have that environment that's just awesome. Nobody's, when you're comfortable but not complacent, you can really be your best. It's like a golfer trying to hit a good shot when you're stressed. Like, no, you're not. You got to be loose too to really get your best. And so just all top to bottom, like, Doug's great, and I think they're going to do really well. Like, I'll throw this in there too. I remember, and this says a lot about why we're able to make that comeback, because we're down 4 touchdowns. But if you look at it, it's not like we were just getting beat up all over the field. It was just turnover, touchdown, turnover, touchdown, turnover, touchdown. And so everybody's so relaxed because it all goes back to Doug. I mean, this is after that game going into the Kansas City week, and I'm wearing my Zero Duck 30 hat on the field during practice one day. Doug comes over and says, hey, what's Zero Duck 30? And we're talking, and it's in the middle of practice. He's like, yeah, I just bought this ranch out in Arkansas. Let's take a look. And he's showing me pictures of his son. He's like, look what my son just got. He's like, I'm supposed to be there, but I guess playoffs ain't a bad second choice, like just kind of joking. But like, he's that relaxed in the middle of playoff week and that confident in what he does. He knows he's prepared. He knows he's ready. He doesn't have to like fake it. He just, goes and does his thing. And that rubs off on everybody to where we're down 4 touchdowns. We just got to go score 4 times. We're going to get 4 possessions. Defense is going to hold. We're going to do our thing. We're good. Like, everybody's comfortable and confident. And so you see that paired with the caliber of guys that are in there. I mean, you got and you talk about like the nicest group of dudes. Like, I mean, you didn't have cliques in there. Like, everybody was tight with everybody. And from the moment I got in there, it was that way. Like, didn't matter who you were, first pick overall, any of them, everybody's cool with everybody. And it was just a real fun environment to be in, makes you want to do well. And when you have that environment, you're able to call out guys, like, because it comes from a place of love versus like, oh, you're trying to get me fired, and then you get issues. So when you call somebody out, you can get better, So it's just a good group of guys that are super talented, and I expect really good things from them this year.
See, I think that's really cool to hear, just like the not being cliquey and stuff like that, because I think, like going back to like the 2017 team, one of the, that you saw the team, that the way that team blew up within a year after that, and just, I mean, the Jalen Ramsey stuff, Leonard Fournette, and, you can go down the line, just all these different, I don't know what the behind the scenes was, but Blake, but like everything just blew up, and it's like, damn, they were right there. And it's just, you can't help but think that, in stuff you hear too, that, maybe they just didn't have that kind of locker room environment,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the locker room environment's critical. I always think NFL, everybody's got money and talent. Everybody's got the same amount of money to spend on talent, and it's how can you gel those guys and the intangible piece brought together that will help win the game.
The team synergy is something that I learned from a bunch of 11 and 12-year-old kids. I'm not kidding you. I was a football coach, Tristan's team. I was assistant coach with some other people, and quite honestly, we were terrible. We had 24 kids on the team. Got our ass whooped all 6 games. We lost every game. But at that age, the Super Bowl or the playoffs is voluntary, and you can get in if you want to. And they approached us, and Terry, I remember saying to me, he goes, hey, they asked us to be in the Super Bowl. Because what do you think? I go, dude, I think it's terrible. I was like, I don't know. I said, but I don't know about all this. I go, I think we should let the kids decide. So, and the parents, so we reached out to a bunch of them, and we had 12 kids. I'll never forget this. We had 12 kids that said they'd play. Don't you know, those 12 kids won the Super Bowl and beat an undefeated team. And was it double overtime or triple overtime?
Something like that, yeah.
On the last play of the game, and I will say, toot Tristan's horn, he pulled the kid down and saved the game-winning touchdown to save the game. And what it taught me was, and I've used this and applied this to my professional career as a manager and an owner, and anybody that really I associate in a team environment, even our Zero Duck 30 team and everybody else. I learned it from these 12 kids. And when somebody wants something enough and there's that synergy, right? Mm-hmm. We experienced that with the old Nationals baseball team, Tristan, but that's where I really learned something. I was like, dude, they're 12-year-old kids. They don't even know. But what they do know is how to come together as a team. Mm-hmm. And we weren't the best coaches, man. I mean, we weren't. I know we weren't. We thought we were, but we weren't probably, and we shouldn't have won. But that just goes to show you that when you get that synergy right, like the clubhouse, like you were talking about, Garrison, man, mm-hmm. there's nothing you can't do.
For real.
You now we see it in March Madness all the time, right? Yeah. It's that 16 seed that goes on to the Sweet 16. You're like, how did they do it? They weren't the best, the best players necessarily, but all that synergy from coaching all the way down to the skill set had to become a big part of that.
For sure.
Great.
Like I always go back to when we're playing the NFC Championship game against the Bucks against the Packers. We were down 2 touchdowns, and that was when I was looking at like, there's a Tom Brady effect, is what I call it. It's not necessarily only him, but because of him, it brings everybody else's game up. They're like, well, we're not going to lose because as long as I do my job, we got Tom. As long as we got to get the ball in Tom's hands at the end of the game with less than a touchdown, and we're going to win. And when everybody feels that way, like, well, we just got to do our job because Tom's going to win it if we do our job, kind of thing. Which really, everybody coming together and playing their best game because they know we always have a chance with him at the helm. It brings everybody's best game out, and everybody does it, and then we end up winning the game. And it wasn't necessarily just him; it was everybody playing their best game at the exact same time, on the same page.
What was your observation like as a Tom Brady fan, and I don't want to go down too far down this rabbit hole, but what did you see just from your side of the impact that somebody like Tom Brady? I mean, yeah, there's that confidence level, but what's the stuff that you saw here and there that he brings to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and the impact that somebody of such incredible accomplishment brings to a football team?
Right. Well, like I said, there's that intangible piece, which is huge. But to get to the intangible piece, be able to have that, because you don't get that unless you've done everything else on the front side of it, is the confidence. Like how I said. I mean, he's outplayed his physical abilities because of his mindset and and then also just his like sheer focus. I mean, every word is calculated in a good way to bring the best out with the ultimate goal of winning. So I mean, everything he does is all in, focused, understands everything, and just brings everything all the time. Yeah. And that's huge.
Yeah, no, it's just a great player makes everybody else greater is what I've heard for years. No matter what level you play at, when somebody else has got the hunger, it
right.
makes you hungry too.
For sure. Like, I mean, and he didn't get mad at people if everybody had their skill set. Like he loved Leonard Fournette, but Lenny didn't pay attention real well to what was going on play wise. I won't forget he threw so every play he would call the huddle and then tell Lenny the play. And in one time, I think it was against Atlanta, it was a handoff. It was a running play to Lenny, and he goes to hand it off, and Lenny thought it was a pass. So Lenny runs a wheel route. I mean, there's nobody else running a route, so he watches Lenny throws a touchdown to him on a wheel route. Like, that was a running play. How do we just throw a touchdown? That's insane.
Did Tom go chew his ass?
Yeah. It's like, when he gets the ball, nobody can tackle him, so I love him. I'll just tell him what to do. It's fine.
My God,
man.
that's awesome,
man. So when you're sitting there, and maybe the best game is yet to come, the best game you've been a part of is yet to come, because you're still working your ass off. But to this date, what is that one game? That one that you're like, dude. And you've told us some great stories already, so it could have already been one of those. But is there anything outside of what you've told us that is just that one that was like, for whatever reason, that was your game?
There's a couple good ones. Like my rookie year, my first game of my career was Monday night at Gillette Stadium when Terrell Owens was on our team.
Holy cow.
Yeah. That was my first game I ever played it.
At Gillette.
Every snap, we're supposed to be at the waist, every snap was at the forehead. Too much adrenaline. I was geeked up for that. It was crazy. And so like I come to the sideline, like I ended up tackling Wes Welker on my first game ever, and I'm like, holy crap, wow. I just tackled Wes Welker. This is insane. I was like, I've been watching him on TV for like the last 6-7 years. This is wild.
I don't think you know how cool it is for like a football nut like me to hear shit like this. It's just like it's so cool. But keep going, please.
Yeah, but I'd say honestly, like, and there's some other cool things like that have happened. Like I got a great story about Pac-Man Jones returning a punt, and I'm looking, and this is later in my career where I could really read, like I know where he's trying to go because I can tell the blocking assignments of who's blocking who and what's happening, and know what he's wanting to do. And I look and I see our entire right side of the coverage team has been pancaked at the line of scrimmage, and I was like, oh boy. And our gunner was destroyed. He had the entire right half of the field, and it was just me. And I was like, oh gosh. And so I took an angle, and I was like, I took a steep angle knowing he was going sideline. And I was like, okay, he's outrun that angle. So I took another angle. Like, okay, he's outrun that angle. And then I took off, and I was able to lay out at the right time, swatted his right cleat into his left cleat, and he tripped and falled. He was like, after I hit him, he knew it was nothing but green for a touchdown if I don't make the tackle. And he's on his back like a cockroach, kicking his legs and arms, like, because he knows it. And he knows it's a touchdown. And I get to the sideline, and Rex Ryan was the head coach, and he just goes, "Holy shit, you saved us on that one. Thanks." So you get stories like that are cool. But I'd say probably my one that sticks out the most is nothing cool. It was just we played San Francisco at Washington, and it was like 2019. It was when it was a nasty mud game. Like every player was covered in mud. Like looked like we'd been in a pig pen. Like you step in the dirt. I mean, the field was terrible. It was like 2 inches of mud, like divot you'd create every time you stepped. And it was terrible weather, terrible weather. And one of my coaches was on my coaching staff in Buffalo at that time. He's like, "This is worse than any Buffalo game." I was like, "I think you're right," because it was downpouring so bad. And the coach of the Redskins at the time, football team, whatever, he was my special teams coordinator in Tampa, so he knew what was my weakest part of blocking and was going to try to attack it. And then we had to deal with the weather, and I ended up snapping and my best game of my career. Like every snap was, and our punter was an Australian, Mitch, and so he was still trying to develop his hands. And I mean, every ball went through his hands and hit him in the gut. And if they're not right on his gut, he doesn't catch them. And then we win the game 12 to whatever off 4 field goals. Every snap was right there, like the gun through his hands into his chest, put it down. It was a sloppy game just because it was so nasty. But being able to perform and picked up all the blocks, the stunts that they threw at me. So really, I was like, man, that was the best. And like, to the point where as soon as the game ended, all the other specialists were like, holy smoke. Like we always come up and talk, but they're like, wow, that was incredible. And they noticed it too. So I'd say that was probably my best game.
Man, you bring up a great
That's
point.
awesome.
I mean, here we've talked so much about the accuracy and obviously when you say long snapper, the position, the immediate thing you think about is just being great at snapping the ball. But you got to be damn good at blocking too.
Yeah, we played the Packers once, and they lined up Clay Matthews right over me.
Oh,
I was
my
like, okay.
God.
Yeah, that's what I said. And so I was like, okay, time to get ready. And so, again, it's not like got to get geeked up. It's like, okay, step left foot, get, technique, right? So I get my technique and I throw my forehead right in his chin and my hands like hit him right in the chest and flipped him on his back and pancaked him.
Wow.
That's beautiful.
I was just like, as I was throwing him down, I was like, ah! I was like just like laughing. I was like, I can't believe that just happened. I just pancaked Clay Matthews.
You're like, welcome to the NFL. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, like, that was pretty awesome. I was like, don't. And then that was the only punny rush on the game. I was like, well, don't have to do that again. Thank goodness.
Dude, going back to the Pac-Man thing, I just saw a video of him last week at 39 running a 4.51.
Yeah,
Say what?
That's insane.
I told you it was angles. I got him on angles.
Wow.
Insane. Probably a long shot. You've heard the story, maybe you have, but have you ever heard Pat McAfee's story about Troy Polamalu and like they were running a fake pun or something?
I'm not sure.
There was, it was something similar to the Clay Matthews thing, but he was, basically the gist of the story is like, holy shit, there's Troy Polamalu. And I guess they were running this fake or whatever that.
Well, he was known for, Troy was for diving over the top of the snapper.
Yeah, and maybe it was a fake field goal and Pat was holding it or something, but I guess what it was is like on tape, they're like all year long, they set up this way or whatever. And they're like, if we get this look, this is what we're doing. And I guess Troy always moved out of this gap or something like that. And for whatever reason, he didn't do it that time. And I forgot the whole damn story, but I was just wondering if you'd heard that because of the Clay Matthews thing. But it's just funny, man.
No, I did. We had a punter, Colton Schmidt. He's he's known for lifting. He's strong as an ox. Like every time he's squatting, top 5 squatter on the team, that kind of thing. And all the reporters are talking about how big his legs are and all this stuff.
Wow.
Well, he not known to be a runner. Well, he dropped a punt snap and like it was right at him. Everything was fine. Just it happens from time to time. He dropped the snap, picks it up, takes off around the side, his eyes, like you could see it on the replay, like his eyes were so big. He was running like he stole something, was about to get mugged, like he was bad. And we get to the they post on the jumbotron. He was the third fastest player on the team. That
No way.
21.5 miles an hour.
No way.
What the hell?
He's like, I didn't know I could move that fast.
That is so fast.
You know what?
too.
That brings up, and I hope I get the story right because it's been a long time since I've told it. So, there's an interview after the game between Alabama and Auburn, and it's with Coach Bear Bryant. And I don't remember how this all happened, but this is how I remember the story. So, all they need to do is kneel the ball, and Joe wins. Coach calls in the play, tells him to kneel the ball. Well, Joe decided to throw a pass instead. So, because he's Joe, right? Goes back to pass, throws it to the end zone, intercepted by the guy that is the collegiate 100-meter dash champion.
Oh boy.
Takes off running. He gets down to close to whatever on the opposite end, and this guy comes out of nowhere and catches him and tackles him. And so after the football game, the coach says to the other coach, to Bear Bryant, he said, I just got to know something. He goes, Bear Bryant says to him, he says, I just got to know something, coach. How did your boy, how'd it go? Hold on. No, I'm sorry. Let me back up. He throws it to the guy.
Uh-huh.
Guess who catches him? Joe catches him.
Yeah.
And so what he says to him, he says, I just got to know something. He goes, how did my 100-meter champion get caught by your guy with the gimpy knees?
Yeah.
And he said, well, coach, he goes, I got to tell you something. He goes, your boy was running for a touchdown. My boy was running for his life. But hey, I'm
Big
sorry.
difference.
I, you guys get the gist of it. But anyway, but that was the story. And the point to make is that, when you're faced with adversity or, the oh shit moment, you tend to step it up a notch, and maybe that's
Absolutely.
exactly what happened with him.
Absolutely.
Man. So, being, one thing, and this is a great question, Tristan, I might be stealing your thunder here by asking this question, but this is probably the most looked forward question that I had, because quite honestly, y'all, a lot of these questions and things that we're doing tonight is to help you get a grip of the relationship that we've had with Garrison, and hearing these awesome stories and just sharing that with y'all, but being that you were an undrafted undrafted football player, you turned it into 14 continued plus hopefully your NFL career. Can you give some wisdom to people who have a dream, whatever that dream might be, and want to make it happen? You've definitely hit the nail on the head about working hard, but I think it applies to just about what, I just remember thinking when I didn't give it everything I could have when I was in football, that I remember saying to myself, I'm going to be the best I can be at my professional position of whatever it is,
Yeah.
What would you say to that person that's chasing that dream?
Well, to simplify it as quickly as I can here, and if I had to put it in like one thing, what's your one thing to do to make it happen? I'll go to what Jimbo Fisher, he always said, trust the process, not the outcome. And so what that means is, if you're trying to win, what's that really mean? No, you're trying to execute this play and then, go to the next one. So it's like, for me, if you know your dream, you know what it is, now it's time to take the emotion out of it by making a plan. Make your plan. And then regardless of what happens, you can't get emotional about it. You keep working the plan and not worrying about the outcome anymore. You take, what's your dream? Okay, it's gonna take me a year. All right, what do I need to do in the next 6 months to reach that? What do I need to do in the next 3 months? Okay, what do I do this week? What do I do today? And then only worry about today, because the year is daunting. That's a long time, and it seems impossible, but today's not. So you just focus everything you got on today, and no matter what happens, none of that matters. You just keep going. Don't quit.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
That's great advice. That's
awesome. Yeah.
And I guess kind of the last thing we kind of had for you, Garrison, is, with the NFL stuff, what do you feel like some part of you, even when you're done playing, for sure is going to want to do something connected with football still?
I'm not sure about that. Like, I think I would. I've always loved coaching, but at the same time, I do have 3 kids, and the hours those guys put in is absurd.
Yeah.
You can't really. So I don't know that I really want to do that. Same with like the GM type role, like within the front office. That all sounds fun and enjoyable, but I think I'd rather be raising a family and do my best with them, and then. To be honest, I've been coaching baseball, like, for my son and that type of stuff, and it's just as rewarding, to be honest, if not more. Those kids get so good so fast, and you can make a big difference. And that's where I've been at. So I see myself more like in the T-ball, like that type of coaching than getting serious with it for the like college NFL.
Sure.
All right, but that's not going to keep you from being with 0 Duck 30, right? I'm just kidding.
No,
I'm just kidding, brother.
I need to get work a sport that doesn't play in the fall.
And I can't wait till we get to take little Jameson out with us all, and let him experience, because as I see, I guess I'm getting old. I don't know yet, but I guess to a 20-year-old I am. But, I love whenever I've developed these relationships with people and can look back to, when I was that age and Tristan was that age, and just it reignites memories and fires and things like that. And it's really the most important thing. You can't force this on any of your kids, whether it be outdoors or sports or, music or band or whatever it is, and that's the key thing, whatever it is, you just love your kids and you support them as much as they can and stuff. But when you, like you said, you were talking about with Jameson, when you come back from hunting with us and I seen it, dude. We pulled in the driveway and he's right there, just nervous energy. My daddy's home and I want to hear about the hunting stories. It's an incredible thing. And such a great thing for us to do as roles, not only as fathers and mothers, I guess, out there, but that's one of those things that I think we lose sight of that is so important of passing on the tradition of what we do.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree with you more there.
Yeah. So, man, it sounds like that's where Garrison's time is going to be spent. And we're going to be getting out there in the duck mine. We're definitely going to get out there and smoke a gator, dude. We got it. How many inches was our one?
It was 7 foot 6 inches.
All right. 7'7",
Which,
Garrison.
to gator hunters, we thought that was pretty cool. But
dude, we thought it was a dinosaur, bro.
I know.
We
but
did.
It's funny, though, because the gator hunters, they're like, oh, that's kind of
it's like the greenhead purists, dude. They're like, oh, you shot a teal today? Hoo, hoo, hoo. You
gotta start somewhere, right?
Yeah, no, but seriously, I look forward to that, man, and we're going to get out there and spend some time in the outdoors this year, Garrison, and we wish you the most luck with you and your family, whatever direction it goes for you, man. And I know you've got some really good things. If you want, feel free to just, give your business some plugs here. I mean, you have done some outstanding things by helping people find homes and stuff like that. I mean, if you want, go ahead and rip it out on what you're doing there.
Well, I appreciate that. No, we've been having fun. Like I said, I love real estate. I got a real estate degree. Started my investing career back when I was 19, and then it kind of transpired organically to the agent side as well. And so we've grown a pretty good team here in Jacksonville area. We've now branched out. We've got homes under contract in Cal area, Tampa, all over the place, and really just it's been fun because like my favorite thing about the agent side is someone going to sell a house and say, what do you want to get out of your house? And then beating that. So really beating that and putting extra money in people's pockets. That's what I enjoy about that part of it. So yeah, that's anybody that is interested in that type of help. Obviously we enjoy doing it.
Awesome, man. And what's the name of your realtor or your agent business?
Yeah. Sanborn Lepenis Group is our group. We're with Keller Williams.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah,
Good
really
deal.
cool. Appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely, and hopefully some of you folks out of Florida will keep that in mind. But
Yeah, I'd love to talk to y'all.
yeah,
And we offer all sorts of advice. I mean, that's like look at ourselves more as advisors than just selling something. Like we got somebody who just here's what your home's worth to buy or rent. We think you should rent it because it's going to make more and do this based off your situation. And so we're not necessarily just trying to sell, we're trying to give you good advice. So it's fun.
that's great, man. Well, Garrison, thank you so much.
Thank you.
This has been an absolute blast, and just your transparency on so many different things has been amazing. And looking forward to the next time, whatever kind of outdoor adventure we can connect on. Looking forward to that next thing.
Yeah, and y'all can try to find him on social media, but you won't. We always end the show. I thought about that was the weird thing coming out with the outline tonight. It's just, our closing lines are always like, "Man, where can everybody find you?" I'm like, you can't find him.
You won't.
You won't. And honestly, I do highly respect you in that regard because I know why you have the privacy that you have, and I would totally respect what you do. And honestly, it's kind of like you're not succumb to the peer pressure of social media and all that stuff, and you just kind of hang off of it. And I got a lot of respect for that. So thank you.
I appreciate it. Yeah, and I appreciate you guys having me too. I look forward to us getting together next time. It's always fun when we do.
Yes, sir.
All righty, Garrison. Well, thank you, man. Have a great night, and talk to you before too long.
I've been southbound, I've been hellbound, riding on the midnight train. Going too fast now, think I ought to slow down, standing in the pouring rain.